Welcome, everyone. I'd like to say good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending on your location in the world. I'm Eve Favros, one of the online marketing managers with Brad Sugar's Profit Masters. We have people attending from all over the world for today's webinar entitled Leadership and Team Building. Now, without further delay, I'd like to pass you on to our host and the world's #1 business coach, Brad Sugars.
Hi, everybody, and thanks, team, for putting me on today. Look forward to it. Obviously, we have, I know we had over 500 people registered for this session in many, many different countries. Leadership and team building, you know, it's a wonderful subject, but sometimes it's like, gee, it's a little airy-fairy. I'm not sure where the results will come from, how they'll come, what will happen, you know, and getting that stuff. Well, today is really about how do we actually get immediate transformation of the way our team operates in our business? How do we actually get real results on it? So you got me now, since we've done the intros, you got me for 57 minutes of taking notes. Please make sure you take notes if you turn off your Facebook and your Skype and your Twitter and all those other wonderful things, and just get focused in as if you're actually at a seminar event so you can take great notes and get ready to use this stuff tomorrow in your business. Building a business or any business is something where you have to have other people. Back in, now 8 or so years ago, I wrote the book Instant Team Building and focus on the 6 steps to building a winning team. And today we're going to take that even further as 6 steps to leading a winning team and doing it to a whole different level. But I think it's really important for us to understand that getting productivity increases is not something that's just magical. It's a matter of doing the right things, managing in the right way, leading in the right way, so that we actually get real results from our employees, from the people that work in our organization. That said, it is a step-by-step process. It's not just hey, you do one thing and it works. There's multiple things that have to be done to make this stuff work and to get real results with it. So do that. As Eve mentioned, I will get some questions at the end, so please feel free to type them in at any time as we're going through things. And at the end, Eve will give you a link for the 4 free gifts that she's already organized for you, so you can get all those. All right, let's get into the learning. Hopefully you got your notepad ready, and we're doing it. Well, why are you here? Well, if any of these things stand out to you, if it's about productivity, if it's about you working less and your employees or your team members working more, then great, we're on the right track. We're here in the right place. You'll notice I split leadership and management up. We'll get to more on that later as to why I split those up. But, you know, when you want great employees, you can't just hire them, you've got to build them as well. So if you want great team members, because, you know, great companies are built by great employees, they're not just built by great owners. That's what we're going to do. Let me tell you a bit about my story for those I haven't met, and having a look at the countries on our list of attendees is obviously people I haven't met yet, because there's some countries I've never even been to out there on the list. But most of the states here in the US are covered across Australia, New Zealand, up through Asia, Indonesia, fantastic. My story, I've owned many different companies. I've always been in the leadership and management roles of those companies, meaning that I'm the owner, I'm not the technician. It's like when I owned the beauty salon, I never once went in there to actually do any beauty treatments. You know, I ran the business side of things. That being said, building ActionCOACH to operate now in 50 countries around the world is something that, you know, I've really enjoyed doing as the leader of the company. That is a big part of what I do on a day-to-day basis, mainly because I enjoy it. It's like this webinar today. I really enjoy teaching this stuff. But what happened was in 2009, I realized just how much I was traveling and just how much I was missing my kids. And at the end of that year, I actually got carjacked and shot at. And this is just not working for me. I need to find a better way. I love what I do, but I've got to be able to do it a better way, and hence the webinar that we're on here today. So webinars have become a big part of it, and also my Profit Masters system, which is a system whereby people can, for basically $99 a month or $1,000 one-off payment, learn everything they need to know to grow a business, which is just a phenomenally simple system. And so if by the end of today you realize you get value in 1 hour, imagine how much value you'll get with literally hundreds of hours of video, audio, and webinars all at your fingertips for you and your staff. That being said, we got to get onto the learning, and we got to get into how to build a massive team, and so you can get results with your team right away. Getting results right away with team is really what this whole webinar is all about. How do we actually boost our team's results immediately? Now, that being said, one of the things about excellent employees, and people always relate to it as a team, and I'm pretty sure you've heard it said this way, that together everyone achieves more. How much more can we achieve when we all work together? Well, this is something that I have a bone of contention with on most team building programs and trainers that I see out there, is that they're really doing together everyone feels better about themselves, not together everyone achieves more. The only reason for building great teams is to achieve more bottom line profits, to achieve more sales, to get better results in the business. We're not out here building a team just so everyone feels nice about it and everyone thinks, oh, gee, I love what I do. It's all about achieving better results. You know, you don't build great sporting teams to do anything other than win more games. And that's the same truth for business. So as long as we go with that aspect of it, that the goal of building better leadership and the goal of building a better team is so that we can achieve more in our business, then we're on the right track. See, how many ideas do I have to give you today before it revolutionizes the way you do business? It only takes one idea to massively change it, one idea to give you tens of thousands of dollars in profit. So that's as simple as it is. So take plenty of good notes. So we're going to go through my 6 keys to a winning team, and I'm going to focus on how we lead a winning team today because I know that's where you're going to get the most results. Step 1 is what I call strong leadership. Now, what's the definition of strong leadership versus just leadership? Most leadership positions are not done with such a decisive strength. That's really what I want to see out of a great leader. I want to see decision-making. I want to see strength of character. I want to see holding people to account. I want to see strong results being demanded, not just asked for. Too often when I see business owners and CEOs failing, it's because they're not strong enough in their desire for the real results in the business. They're not demanding enough of people. Now, by the way, there's a difference between an arrogant leader and a confident leader. A confident leader is demanding. An arrogant leader demands in a negative fashion. There's a way of demanding great results by saying, hey, well, let's all get into this and achieve these amazing results together versus, hey, why aren't you doing as I asked you to do? You know, confidence is a very big part of leadership, and confidence is entirely different to arrogance. And an arrogant leader, doesn't command respect. A confident leader does. So that strength of leadership, let's examine a little bit about how that can work. By the way, during the webinar today, I'll be doing a few polls. As I hit launch on the polls, this first one here, all you've got to do is look at how it is you can actually answer that poll. So all you've got to do is click on one of these buttons. Some cases I'll give you 4 points to choose from, some other cases it'll be 5 or 6. But if you can just take your pick right there and vote for me, you just click on the link that is most suited to you. That'll be fantastic. That'll make it a lot easier for us. We leave them up for only about 30 to 60 seconds, so, it makes sure you get your answer in straight away so that I can actually do that. I've got about 44% of people still to vote, so if you can make sure you do that vote right now, that way within 60 seconds I can close that off. So, strong leadership. When we sit down and take a look at strong leadership, one of the things we have to do is understand what is it about, how do strong leaders get created, what is it about a strong leadership, are they born, or, where does it come from, how is that? All right, let me close off that poll with the last few votes going in. And, okay, so there's, most of you have got good leadership tendencies, but you've got too much else going on by the looks of that. So too much going on. Let's get some ideas of how to have not so much going on so that you can actually get that results that you need. So when we sit down and take a look at it, great leaders, are they born or made? I'm a firm believer that great leaders are made. I know that I was never really born a leader. I might have been born bossy as a kid, but that doesn't make you a leader. There's a big difference between being bossy and being a leader, being a manager and being a leader. We need to understand that there are skill sets you need to learn, strategies you need to understand, and that way you can become a great leader. It's not something where it just magically happens that leadership skills are found by a person. It is taught to you. You learn it, you practice it, you get better at it. That skill set is developed over a period of time, and over that period of time, you become a great leader. I still remember it. I was, I think I was 21. I went to my dad, and I had my own business at the time, and I went to my dad, and I said, you know what, Dad, I just can't get good people. And he looked me bluntly and firmly in the eye and he said, Brad, you get the people you deserve. And, you know, he could have pointed it out a little nicer, but I don't think that was his style. He's a very blunt man. You know, he backed it up by saying, Brad, you run an average business and you're an average manager. The highest caliber of employee you're going to get is average. You know, and that's really the factor. And until I went on becoming a great leader and studied it and learned how to be a great leader and the strategies of it and the ways I need to say things and do things, it was very difficult to get great employees. So that leads me to the second segment. Great leaders not only are made, great leaders attract great employees. You know, who wants to work in an average company? Average people. Where do great people want to work? Well, great employees want to work in great companies, led by great leaders, led by, you know, that are achieving amazing things out there in the world. If you want to attract the best employees, you've got to have the best business and the best leadership skills so that they actually want to work there. So why would you spend the time, energy, and effort in becoming a great leader? Well, so you can get better employees who actually build the company for you in a much better way. Therefore, your job is easier. So not only they attract great employees, but they build great employees. The best general is the one who builds the best captains. It can't be said any simpler than that. If you're not building your employees to take over from you or to do your job instead of you, you're always going to be there. If you're wanting a promotion, you need to build other people to take over your job so you can be promoted to the next level. Too often I find that, actually I had an argument with a gentleman in Ireland, and he said to me, well, Brad, every time I train my employees, they leave. And I said, yeah, but buddy, every time you don't train them, they stay. And, you know, it took him a while to get it. He didn't really understand the fact that, hang on, that means they're staying here and they're not getting any better, therefore nor is my company. Building great employees starts, yes, with attracting them, recruiting them, doing a great job of recruitment with phenomenal people. But recruiting is just one part of it. You've then got to build them, and then you've got to turn them into something. So let me just ask you a little bit about your recruiting. If you can just go and answer this poll. Well, how do you do your recruiting? What is your methodologies? What do you use? What systems? Because here's my thing about it. If you want to build a great company, you've got to have great people. So if you run an advertisement in the Help Wanted section of the newspaper or online or on Monster or Seek or whatever it is that you're on doing this stuff, who's actually reading that stuff? Who's reading it? Well, the people who don't have jobs in most cases. If you want to get great at recruiting, you got to learn to headhunt. I mean, think about it in terms of a sporting team. How much time, energy, and effort do sporting teams put into recruiting? Still got about 13% of you still haven't voted. The last few, please get in there and click on the voting. That would be fantastic. You know, what level of energy and effort are you putting into recruiting? If you put a lot of time, energy, and effort, I can teach you, in fact, on the Profit Master system, I teach you an entire strategy for recruiting great employees. But the whole thing about this is if you don't put in the time, energy, and effort into recruiting, guess where your time will go? Forever and ever and ever, your time will go into management and leadership and more management and more leadership so that you have to actually do the work. So where is it better to put the work up front or in the end? She's 31% on a single interview. Geez, that's troubling, gang. Multiple interviews getting a little bit better. Group interviews were at 31%. That's phenomenal. We've got about half of you doing background checks and stuff, so that's really good. But we still need a lot more of you doing multiple and group interviews. My simple factor around employment and building great employees starts with hiring great employees, but not only do you have to start with it, you've actually got to continue the work through and build them into great employees. Third thing about being a great leader is that you retain great people. So how are you retaining your people? What are you doing to make sure they want to stay? What are you doing to make sure that they want to be a part of your team long term? Too many companies take their great employees for granted and they wonder, you know, where is this person going? What are they doing? Well, you need to put in the time, energy, and effort to retain them. And we'll talk more about how great leaders do that in just a moment. But if your ultimate goal is to build a great company, remember this, you don't build it as the CEO or the owner of the company. You do a part of it, but the most of the work is done by the people that are in your company. So if you build great employees and retain them, they will build a great company for you that retains its customers. Think of that as a very big part of it. Just to give me an idea of how you're retaining, let me see. How often are you doing team meetings? Just shoot me a poll. These first 4 polls, by the way, or first 3 polls, give me an idea for the rest of the webinar as to exactly where to teach it and exactly what to do. So how often are you meeting with your team? What work levels are you doing with them? Please get your votes in. I've only got 30% of you voting. Others of you just click on and get that vote in for me. Retention of great employees. Now, we do live in a different age. It's very different. We're not going to retain them for 20 years in most cases. That can and does still happen. But in the majority of cases, we're going to have people for a 3 to 5 year period. And after that, they're going to want to try something else unless we give them a good career path. So what are the career paths that you're offering people? Last couple of people, if you can just vote and we'll close that out. How are you retaining them? All those sorts of things. That's a big part of getting the real challenge met of building a great business. So actually, here we are. Only 50% of people are on once a week. Geez, dang, gang. Once a month is way not enough. Whenever we need to is way not enough. Communication we'll get to in just a little while as to how we need to communicate and what level of communication we need to be able to get great leadership going. So 2 areas that I want to focus in on with leadership. There's a bunch of them, but I want to focus on these 2. Number 1, passion. If you are building a great company, you need passionate people. But the leader is the first and foremost indicative factor of passion. If you as the leader are not motivated, if you as the leader are not jumping for joy every day you come to work, if you don't love your business or love your job, how do you expect the people that work for you to do that? How do you expect your customers to love it if you don't love it? You've got to be the most passionate, most excited, most motivated person in your business. And if that means you've got to work out how to fall in love with your business again, then that's what it means. If it means you need to get a coach to be on your backside to get you across there, if it means you need to be on Profit Masters and every single day watching a video, watching a webinar, learning from it for the next 12 months, then that's what it means. But get your passion levels to where they need to be, where you can actually be a real leader. Real leaders aren't boring. Real leaders aren't the ones sitting in the background. Real leaders are the ones who are passionate. They're vocal about what they believe in. They're vocal about the company doing great. They get out there and they mix it up. I had a businessman, must be 4 weeks ago now, talking to me about, his staff just aren't passionate enough. And I said, well, hang on. Let's go back just a second. Have you had more passion for your business than you do today? He said, yeah, I used to be a lot more passionate about it. I said, well, then, of course, your employees used to be a lot more passionate about it. And until he realized the fact that he's the barometer, he's the measuring stick of his employees' level of passion, excitement, motivation, and desire to be at work, he couldn't be a leader in his organization. The second part to this is then saying responsibility. Most leaders need to understand that the moment you blame anyone or anything, if you blame the government, if you blame the economy, if you blame your suppliers, if you blame a customer, if you blame one of your staff, one of the departments of your organization, if you're blaming other people, if you're making excuses for why stuff didn't happen, you're not taking responsibility. Therefore, how can your people follow your lead? Responsibility is a major part of all leaders. If something goes wrong in your organization, guess what? It's your fault. The captain of the boat is the last one off when it's sinking. Why? They take responsibility. You as the owner and the leader or the CEO of your company need to be the most responsible person in your company. You need to be doing that with your voice, with your words, with your actions. Every day people need to understand that you are the most passionate, most responsible person in your company. Now, if the company achieves great things, hand it over to someone else. Let other people take the kudos. It's funny, I sit here as the owner of my business. I would rather my employees took the kudos for amazing things happen because I get the profit. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm getting rewarded for all of this stuff. I don't need to be patted on the back and stuff. My employees need that level of stuff. What I need is to get the business running higher and more results so that I get rewarded in that fashion. Now, you can get rewarded in life in either cash or kudos. You get to choose which one. So I would prefer that you handed the kudos around. That's a far better way of making sure everyone on your team is excited about being there and they start taking real responsibility. Take that one step further. Within a business, you have the owner. The owner then has the team of people. The team of people then have to take care of the customer. The customers have got the business there to run. Most owners are too busy trying to do all of the three. They're trying to take care of customers, trying to take care of the team, trying to take care of run the business. Here's the fact of how I believe this should be positioned. You as the owner, your job is to take care of your team. If you help them, and what sort of things can you do? You build a great environment for the work in, you pay the bills, you give them better systems, you give them better marketing so they can do a better job, make more sales, you give them training. You keep building your team. The more you build your team, the better the more you take care of them, the more they'll take care of the customers. You know, and it's a very simple thing. I see it, I guess the easiest way to look at it is I see it as an inverse relationship. The way the owners or CEO of a company treats their employees, the way management and leadership treats their employees is directly reflected in how the employees take care of the customer. So you can tell if you're not being taken care of well by an employee of a business. Now, there are randoms, I know, but in general, if employees aren't taking good care of the customer, then it's also true that the business owners and the CEOs and the leadership of the company aren't taking great care of their employees. And where that's most evident is usually in airlines. You know, you can see it time after time with the way they treat their customers, obviously the way they're being treated. Now, here's the thing. If you take care of the team takes care of the customer is then going to keep coming back, keep referring, keep doing great things, spending more on each transaction. So therefore, the customer takes care of the business, and if the business is making a lot more money, it takes care of the owners. It's a simple cycle, but you've got to live with this cycle. You take care of your team, they take care of the customers take care of the way that your business runs, and your business then takes care of the owner. So that's a major part of what it is that you're looking to achieve. You build a great organization by building great people who build a great organization for you. Remember this, you don't build your company, your employees do. If you work it properly and you help them become great employees, then of course they build a phenomenal business for you. That's the way it works. Now, 2 levels to this. I use the 16 cylinders of high performance because I think of it like a big truck engine, you know, a 16-cylinder truck engine. When I was a kid, I loved the big Mack trucks. Think of it this way. The body and mind, the fact that there's a person in a chair, they're sitting at their desk for 8 hours a day or 10 or whatever the number is. The fact that they have a good resume, you've checked out their study, you've checked out their past skill, their mind is up to the task, they know how to do the job. The fact that you can do that gets you 6 out of 16 cylinders. You know, having someone in the chair, having someone that can do the job, great, good starting point. Nowhere near where we need to be, though. We've got to draw a line there and say, what else have we got to add? Well, we've got to get their heart involved. We've got to get them passionate about it. We've got to get them loving what you do. You've got to get them excited. They've got to come to work wanting to be there. They've got to be a part of the organization. Their heart has to be in it. They've got to have that desire for the company to succeed. It's got to be a part of who they are. And then we've also got to get their spirit involved. They've got to believe they're doing more than just getting a paycheck. They've got to believe they're doing great work, that they're achieving great things. They're helping customers in amazing ways. That's how you get the real level of this. Each of them gets you another 5 cylinders, and you're sitting there going, if I get their heart and spirit involved, I can increase their performance dramatically. See, the body and mind is about management, you know, managing the day-to-day of what happens in the organization, that people do their job day-to-day. Now, you still need to be a very good manager and have very good managers in your organization. I'm not trying to deny the fact that we need great management. In fact, one of my biggest challenges is that business has run out of great management. We don't see many management books anymore. They're all on leadership. Our last best-selling management book was probably like the 1-Minute Manager back in the early 80s. What we need to see is more heart and spirit. And, of course, that comes from when we do leadership. Leadership is where we get the heart and spirit involved, being passionate about what we do and helping others find their passion for it, getting their heart involved, helping people understand the benefits of what we do and how amazing it is at what we do and the work we do for our customers and the people out there. That's a very big part of it. You know, strong leadership is the first and foremost step of our 6 steps to a winning team. I want you to make sure you take advantage of some of those lessons and you get involved in doing those things within your business. Second point is what we call a common goal. Now, what is a common goal? Well, if I was to sit down with all of your people in your organization and ask them, what direction is the company going? What's the company's goal? First things first, would they all know what it is? Would they all give me different answers? Would any of them know the same goal? If that's the case, then we've got a big challenge. If we're not all headed in the same direction, then we don't have a common goal. We've got to make sure that our goal is common. But second of all, our goal can't just be about making money. Our goal has to be far greater than that. I always discuss the word vision. If you look at a vision for a company and say, what is the job of the vision? Well, number one job is to enroll. People, when I sat down and started Action Coach, I wrote a vision of world abundance through business re-education. World abundance through business re-education. And it's phenomenal how many people are enrolled and say, you know what, I want to be a part of that. I want to help business owners learn how to grow their business. I want to show them what to do. I want to teach business owners how to get real results. I want to work with CEOs and C-level executives and show them how to get amazing businesses out there in the marketplace, how to get huge profitability. The number of people that want to join me because our vision is enrolling and they want to be a part of that, that to me is a major part of what we're trying to achieve with our common goal, with our vision of where we're going as an organization. The second thing is it's got to inspire people. It's got to get them wanting to, if they feel like all they're going to achieve is a very small amount, they're not going to want to do that. They want to be inspired. People want to get out there. They want the challenge to be taken to them or to take the challenge to the world to achieve something great. If your vision is one of, let's make another $1 million next year, woohoo! None of your employees get fired up by hitting numbered goals. They don't get excited by that. They get enrolled and they get inspired by believing they're going to be a part of something incredible, by believing they're part of something, a group of people that are doing great things, building a great company and achieving great results for their customers and their clients. That's what vision is all about. Think about, if you get stuck with it again, just go back to the Action Coach one of world abundance through business re-education and start thinking of how you can apply that. Also, I'll give you one in a minute that you can actually work from and just copy. But take a look at my 3 different levels of goal setting so that you understand how some are very enrolling and inspiring and yet others are not. First level of goal setting is what I call negative or away goals. Now, what does that mean? Well, a negative goal or an away goal is like, I don't want to be broke, or I don't want to be fat, or I don't want to be a smoker, or I don't want to be in overdraft. I don't want to have, it's all of the negatives I don't want, or I want to move away from something, and those goals are not very motivating. The I don't want to be fat goal, it's not that motivating, it's very demotivating in a lot of ways. In fact, most negative or away goals, and I see this in business all the time, people will have the negative goal until eventually the negative goal just becomes their reality and they accept it. It's like the old frog in water type thing. If you put a frog in boiling water, it'll leap straight out. If you put it in cold water, though, and turn up the heat gradually, it'll stay in there and boil to death. A lot of people's lives and businesses are like that. If you're on this call today and your business is sucking the wind out of you, it's probably because you're living with negative or away goals rather than moving to our second level of goal at least, and that is a towards or away from, towards or a positive goal. That's what we're after in most cases to get us started on this track. How do we have a goal that is, not to get out of overdraft, but to have $100,000 profit this year or to have $100 million profit this year? What's the towards goal for you? It's not to not have a bad car, it's to have this. It's not to not be healthy, it's to be what level of, or to compete and finish a marathon, or something along those lines is what we need to be looking towards with positive goals. Now, I'm assuming by the fact that you're on this call today, you probably already have positive or towards goals. Now, what we have to do for business, though, is turn them into a common goal. Common goals really have something, a bigger meaning about them than just making a few dollars. They really have, they're generally bigger than just providing for you and your family. Too many business owners set the goal of their business based upon their own needs, not based upon the market's needs and the size and the potential of the market and how much they could achieve. You know, a common goal could also be called a legacy goal, where it's about something more than you. If you think back to Action Coach's main goal of world abundance through business re-education, we're not just about making money for ourselves, we're about building abundance for everybody. Our number one goal as a company is to help you build your business so that you get more results. And of course, by helping you build your business, it builds our business. It's really, you know, it's not a complex business for us. We love helping you grow your business. And if Profit Masters is the right place for that, fantastic. By the end of our call today, you'll know if you're going to get value on Profit Masters just by being on this webinar. So if you get value out of this, imagine how much value you get out of that. So here's the common goal. I want you to write this down so that you can have it for you. Hope you're ready with a pen and paper. Now, imagine to create the best X business in Y area. Let me give you an example of that. Imagine, well, I live here in Las Vegas. Imagine I was in the landscaping business. And I said, okay, my goal is to create the best landscaping business in Las Vegas. Or maybe I wanted to do the state. Maybe I was going to say, I want to create the best landscaping business in Nevada. Or maybe I want to do the best landscaping business in all of the United States. I'm not sure what your goals are. But until you come up with a better one, until you come up with a better common goal, then that's something that's more your style, use that one. Get together with your team tomorrow and start discussing it, because here's a real interesting question. Who wants to work for the best landscaping business in Las Vegas? All the best landscapers. Who wants to buy from it? What's the profitability of the best landscape business? That is your goal, to go about building the best whatever business you're in whatever area you want to be your target market. Common goal, very important key to a winning team. First comes strong leadership. Second comes a common goal. Third major point of creating and leading a winning team is what I call rules of the game. What do I mean by rules of the game? Well, think about this. If you ever joined a new company, when did you learn what the rules of that company were, or the way things were supposed to be done? Generally, you learned it by trial and error. You'd step on someone's toes, you'd make a mistake, and then someone would point out, no, that's not the way we do it here. If you want people to perform, they need to know where the boundaries are. They need to know the rules. They need to know the way what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. People need to understand how far they can go and what they can do. The way I describe this is what I call a loose, tight culture. In other words, the boundary is very tight, but the things within that, the way the people operate and get the results in the business, is generally fairly loose. So I use a football field as an example. Where you play on the field, the way you play is up to you once you know the rules. So you know the boundaries, you know the rules. Your job is to now get the job done. See, too many companies operate on the opposite. They operate on a tight, loose culture. They're very strict on people on a minute-by-minute, day-by-day basis, but they're very loose when it comes to how do people operate. Now, if you're struggling with this concept, I want you to just log on to ActionCOACH.com. If you go to ActionCOACH.com and you go to the section there about us, you'll actually see our 14 points of culture at Action Coach, and you can start to get a real understanding of what it is that I'm talking about with you. So if you take a look at that, you'll start to feel the difference between a company with culture and a company without a written culture. It's very important, in my opinion, that we develop a good set of rules of the game so that people know what's expected of them, what their job is, how they get to do it, and so on. That brings us to point number 4 in our winning team. Strong leadership is first. Common goal is second, to be the best business in your area, whatever type of industry you're in. Rules of the game so people know where they can compete is number 3. Number 4 is we need an action plan. Now, what do I mean by an action plan? Well, very simply put, people need to know who's doing what. You know, they need to understand it, and this is an interesting part about planning. Most businesses don't get it, but the bigger the business, the more planning is necessary. As your business gets bigger, you need to get better and better at planning. The more planning you develop, obviously, the better the results that your business is going to get. So, you know, I ask people all the time when they don't do much planning, do you think big businesses do a lot of planning? I say, oh, absolutely, big businesses do a lot of planning. You say, do you think they got big first or they started planning first? Which one? And it's a very big part of it, but Until you put an action plan together, no one knows what they're doing properly, no one knows where they're supposed to be properly, and there's confusion that reigns. Yeah, they might know to a degree, but it's, are we going for to a degree, or are we going here for building a winning team, building a great organization that achieves amazing results? That's what I believe we're going for. So get the action plan in as step 4 in our keys to winning, to building and leading a winning team. Point 5 then, once we get through putting our action plan in place, we've now got to get a little more esoteric. Now we've got to start supporting risk-taking. What does that mean? Well, sorry, just going to take a sip of water. I'm running at the mouth here. If we want to grow our business, does it mean we're going to need to do new things? If we want to see better results, does it mean we're going to try new things? Of course it does. Our employees are going to have to try new things. So if you and your employees are having to try new things, then good chance that they're going to have to take some risks. So you as the owner need to be the one supporting that risk-taking. Most businesses are not run that way. Most businesses, there's a lose-lose mentality in there that, you know, no, don't try anything new. If you make a mistake, blah, blah, blah. And you can almost think of that as a government body in many parts of the world where, you know, it's a lose-lose. No one wants to try anything new, and therefore nothing new gets done. You know, it's just a negative all around, and therefore the company ends up with, if there's 2 people playing, there's no 0 by losing. You don't lose to a 0. You lose, you get a negative score. So you're -1 and -1 equals -2. Now, majority, that's only a few companies that operate on that lose-lose, I guess. Majority of people operate on a win-lose or a lose-win. Win-lose is that person that always has to be right. I'm sure you've had that boss before. I'm sure it's not you. Well, maybe it is some days. If you've always got to be right and you always want to win and it's always your way or the highway, no one has a good idea, a better idea than you, you're still playing win-lose. And if they lose, they get -1. And if you win, you get +1. So +1 and -1 is still 0. Now flip that over. One of the biggest conundrums I'm faced with today, and I don't know where this came from, but more and more business people that I meet, CEOs and owners of businesses, are becoming the lose-win players. They're almost like doormats. They're letting their employees run their business and they let them push them around. And it's kind of like, what are you doing? Why are you allowing your employees to run your business? And, you know, why aren't you standing up and dealing with this? Now, again, there's a difference between arrogance and confidence and the way we deal with this stuff. But too often I see business owners being pushed around by their staff. And again, it's a -1 and a +1, so it's a 0. You can't help people grow the business if they're not willing to take risks. And you have to be willing to take risks as well. You've got to be willing to stand up for yourself and be able to do that. Ultimately, where do we want to get to? A win-win situation where you win and your employees win. If you can get to a win-win situation where you win and your employees win, of course you'll create better results. It's kind of like where the synergy happens and you go from, you know, 1 + 1 equaling 2 to 1 + 1 equaling 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. There's a multiplier effect of all of the work that gets done. You know, building an organization where we allow others to win and we win at the same time takes working to resolution. You can see it there. I put it as resolution. You've actually got to really think it through to get real results. You can't just be compromising all the time. You can't just be, you know, doing it the same old, same old. You've got to build an organization and a team of people that are ready to win and, you know, that they work together and everybody gets a result from that. That then brings us to a simple thought. If we're always looking for constant, never-ending improvement, people are going to take risks and you've got to support that. People are going to be able to make mistakes and you've got to support it. Now, I'm not saying they make the same mistake 10 times. You keep going, oh, that's okay, that's okay. That's stupid. We're not in any way, shape or form looking at that road. What we're saying, though, is if they're trying new things and they make a mistake, it's okay. And you've got to make sure that that's okay, because otherwise no one will try new things. Therefore, you'll never get better ways of doing things. Therefore, you won't improve the profitability of the business. So, if we're going to keep growing, we've got to keep growing our people. To grow our people, we need them to know that we're going to help them support them. Finally, though, if our 6th key to a winning team is that not only do we need to do all those 5, but then we've got to practice the art of 100% involvement and 100% inclusion. What does that mean? Well, Very simply put, if you've got that person that sits in a meeting and they sit there and don't really say much and don't really say much and don't really say much again, and then once they walk outside, they start telling everyone what they thought and that, oh, I don't think those ideas will work, that person is killing your company. You need to either have them speak up in the meeting or not speak up at all. You know, get them involved, involve your people, especially the naysayers, get them talking, because A, if they come on side, they'll be a great advocate for what you're doing, but B, they're detracting from everyone else's work. They're creating a lose-lose or a lose-win scenario for you. See, what happens when we get everybody involved is really back to that synergy effect. You know, once we get them all passionate, once we get them on side. Now, does this, by the way, mean that some of the people in your organization are going to need to leave? Yes. Some of the people in your company are not good for your company. Some of the people in your business need to move on. It's not complex, especially as you grow your company, especially if you're in a high-growth business. If you're growing, that means you're changing your standards. It means you're doing better things. You're doing new things. Some people will come on that journey with you and love the journey. Others will be like, I don't want to change. I don't want to move. I don't want to do anything different. I want this to stay the same as it was. I'm not liking these new ways of doing things. Fine, if you don't like it, that's okay. Let's do a career planning session and talk about how we can plan your career somewhere else. You know, but this is the thing. If you want to support them and if you want to get them involved, you've got to train them. You've got to get them involved. Let me just launch another poll here and just see where your training levels are at with your people. How often are you doing training with your people? You know, is it regularly? At least once a quarter, or, you know, if you don't have the money to do it or the time to do it, then just let me know. I want to know where you're at, because this is a very important factor of it. I like to think that business people should be in training 6 days a year at the minimum. 6 days a year should be the minimum number of training days that you do it. I know a lot of our clients bring their people to our Business Excellence Forum. They bring their staff along, so their staff will learn sales and team building and all sorts of different aspects of building the business. I'm only at about 60% of you voted there, probably because I haven't had a vote in a while. Some of you just need to click on and do that vote for me. That would be fantastic. Synergy comes by creating great involvement and great things. Training is a very big part of that. So we got about 50% of you doing a good job and the rest needing to up the scale, up the ante. For those that are doing a good job, hopefully by the end of this session today, you'll realize it's something you want to be great at. You know, one of the funny things, I was chatting with one of our Profit Masters members just the other day, and he has a team of 19 people in his company, and literally his $1,000 for the year is their training budget. He literally has them use Profit Masters for their customer service training, for their sales training, their marketing training, their phone skills training, all the different aspects that are on there. He uses that for that. It's quite a unique methodology, but you have to do training if you want your people to grow the company for you. So how do we hold all 6 of those keys together? Well, very simply put, we hold them together with communication. Communication is the oil that keeps the machine running. How well you communicate with your employees determines the level of passion, the level of ability, the level of skills, the level of performance of them. A very simple way of putting this is my statement: true communication is the response you get. You know, if your employees are doing exactly what you're asking, then you're communicating very well. If they're not doing what you're asking, then it tells me that your communication needs to change. You know, and communication is a two-way street here. It's not just you, it's them as well. So maybe they need communication training. Get upon Profit Masters to learn their segments of the communication aspects, the DISC training, the VAC training, all of that stuff on there that you can do to help your employees become great at what they need to do. Communication is vital. As the leader of the company, if there's more change, more turmoil, you need to be doing more leadership, more communication. More communication, not less. I know with my team, I do a video every single month, State of Action, where I send out a video every month, about 20 minutes to half an hour, to all the team members, because we operate in 50 countries, that they get the results of that. Bob Nardelli said it best, you know, you've got to coach your people, you've got to train them so that they get to their maximum capability, not doing an okay job, doing the best job they possibly can. Now, speaking of CEO skills, you need both skills, management and leadership. What is management? Well, it's the day-to-day stuff. Management, like, do you run work-in-progress meetings? Management, like, see, most management today is done in a reactive manner. When something goes wrong, they come and see you. It needs to be the other way around. It's not about putting out fires and dealing with problems and issues and all of that. Management should be proactive. You should be running WIP meetings. If you don't know what that means, during Profit Masters, I'll show you exactly how that works. Management should be about half-hour meetings with every direct report every single week at a proactive time where they follow the system and you go through it with them and you build it together. Leadership is an amazing part of what we need to do. But again, leadership is about getting the passion and heart. It's the communication, it's the direction, it's the vision, it's building and inspiring people. Those two skills are both needed to be a great CEO. You can't just be good at management and be a great CEO. No, people need leadership. And you can't just be a great leader. You've got to have great management skills as well. Keep both of them in mind. If you've been around Action Coach before, you'll have probably seen this flip chart with me, above and below the line. Below the line, people do three things. They blame others. They come up with excuses. They live in denial. Above the line, the good things of ownership, accountability, and responsibility. If you've got people blaming others, if you've got people who give you lots of excuses, if you've got people living in denial, that, my friends, means you need better management. You need to get on and train and learn how to be a better manager for your business. If you've got people at above the level and you've got them out of the blame, excuse, denial, then your leadership takes over to move them from responsible, in other words, where they do a good job, right up to ownership, where they have passion and the desire and all of that love for the business. You've got to build them as managers to get them above that line, and then as leaders to get them to take ownership and accountability for the organization. That's a big part of it. You know, when we go out there and we build a business, we are the leaders. Leadership, lead ship. You are the one to set the example from them. But remember, you don't steer a ship from the front. You steer it from the back. Stay in the background. Guide your people. Give them direction. Make sure they're off in the right track. Keep them moving forward. But stay there. Keep an eye on them all. Know what's going on your ship. Know where the sail's set and where it needs change. All of these different aspects that you're doing to build a great leadership in your organization. I put this slide up because people often are asking, you know, gee, that sounds like a lot to do, Brad, to be a great leader and a great manager and all that stuff. Seems like an amazing amount of work to do. Can I do it? Well, yeah, you can. These two young people here, Nick Vujicic, great young fella. You know, we've had him come and speak at conferences for us at Action Coach, and I can't believe just how passionate and powerful. He's a young man with every reason, no arms, no legs, to every reason to be, you know, life's too tough. I can't be like, no, he's out there kicking butt, taking names. If he can do it, you can too. Young Bethany Hamilton, my daughter, she's their favourite. She was the inspiration of the movie Soul Surfer. Here's a young girl with all the reasons not to, yet she goes after it. So let's recap some of the learnings you've got to put into place. Leaders are not born, they become leaders. You know, you've got to learn the skills, learn management, learn leadership. Got to learn it somewhere. Can you put the 6 keys to a winning team in place? Yes. Learn more about strong leadership. Learn more about putting your common goals into place, how to adapt and build your rules of the game, how to build an action plan, how to take that risk-taking and do it from an area where it won't kill the company, how to involve and include your employees. Very powerful. Communication skills. Learn communication skills. I cannot stress that one enough. Great attribute. Management and leadership are both part of a great company, and you've got to become good at both of them. So can you learn all these things? That's the simplest question I can ask you. Can you learn all of this stuff? Can you learn to be a great manager and leader? Yeah, you can learn that. You can learn how to manage great people. You can learn how to hire great people. You know, this is a part of what you can do. The biggest question I get from business owners, though, is, well, how do I do it? How do I get it implemented? You know, how do I actually do it? Because today we've covered a lot of ground. There's a lot of learning to be involved in it. Maybe today one of the biggest challenges you leave here with is, hey, the biggest thing I've learned today, Brad, is how much I've still got to learn. If that's the case, fantastic. That's why I built Profit Masters, gang. The Profit Masters system is a very simple one. And tomorrow, I want you to join me for another webinar starting tomorrow. 10 webinars over 10 days, exact same time, exact same system. Life success is going to be the first one, how to build a great life. Then I'm going to teach you how to be rich. Then I'm going to teach you how to buy, build, and sell and be an entrepreneur and build companies. Then I'm going to teach you how to multiply profits. Then build a marketing machine. Then a sales machine. You know, building sales is phenomenal in companies. Then I'm going to teach you how to build retention. By the way, start typing your questions right now while I tell you a little bit about Profit Masters. I'll get to them in about 2 minutes' time. Then I'm going to teach you about how to not just not just look for great employees, but actually how to hire them. What is the recruitment system to hiring great people? Leadership, how to actually be a great manager, how to actually be a great leader. All of this information over 10 days. In fact, just the other day I invented a new one called Leverage, Do the Work Once, Get Paid Forever. I'm going to throw that one in for free. I'll do 11 of them over 11 business days with you. Normally I charge $250 if you come to that hour-long seminar, but because it's on the web, I can do them for $99 a piece for you. Dead simple, all 10 webinars, $990. You can have yourself on there, all of your employees on there. You can bring your partners, you can bring your spouse. I don't care how many. That's why it's the web. It makes my life easy. It makes your life easy. It makes everything far cheaper for everybody. 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Vegas time, exact same time as we're doing it right now. We're going to do it. I will record them all, so if you have to miss one, you can go back and watch that one over again. But if you decide in the next 8 minutes to join us, I'm going to give you literally $25,000 worth of my life. Every seminar I've ever done in my life has been recorded, and you get to have them all free of charge. In fact, for the next 83 days, 12 weeks, straight after you finish those 11 days of training, every single morning I've got a video for you to watch that you will learn from that day. That segment alone, 83 of them is worth $2,000. You know, amazing stuff. 66 hours of my live workshops, entrepreneurs training. That's a $10,000 training. You get it live, free of charge, just for making a decision in the next, it's about 7 minutes now, I guess. All of my audio programs, my 2-day Mind Rich workshop, my 6 steps to a better business, my competitive edge, that's a 2-day workshop right from the beginning of Action Coach. It's the material that built Action Coach to what it is today, all up there, another $1,700 worth of value. There's a link now in your chat box. If you go to your chat box, you'll see a link there. Click that link, and it will give you the link to go to get all of this stuff for that exact simple $990. In fact, I'm going to give you a guarantee in just a moment. Sorry, I missed that. All the ebooks and white papers you're going to get. On that website, it has all this stuff listed out for you, so you know exactly what you're going to get. All the downloads of stuff I use in my one-to-one coaching, it's yours. It's on there. Download it, use it, build it for yours. All of the mentors that I have are now going to be your mentors. Harv Eker on being rich, Brian Tracy on success, Jeff Kittimer on sales, Jack Canfield. I interview all of them, and it's yours right there anytime you want it. You can use it. You can have your staff use it. Every one of your team can use that stuff and learn from it. So next part is 6 minutes. You go and do this, and you just click on that link. It's only $99 a webinar, gang. This is the dead easiest thing you can do. And you can join for $990 up front. That means that's your lifetime. You never pay $1 ever again. It's there for the lifetime. Every video I ever do gets put up. Or you can pay $99 a month and keep paying for the rest of the time. Your choice which way you go. You get all of the workshops. They start tomorrow. Here's my guarantee to you. This means you have zero risk. You get to keep everything if you don't want it, and I give you your money back. If you go through the 11 webinars with me over the next 11 days and you go, geez, Brad, that stuff's no good. I don't like it. It's never going to make me any money. Call us up. Guess what? We'll give you your money back. And in most cases, if you put it on your credit card, you'll get your money back before you even get your credit card bill. So how much risk do you have? Absolutely zero. If you go over, click on the web, sign up right now, zero risk to you, 100% risk to me. In fact, 200% risk to me, because I'll give you your money back and I'll get you to, I'll let you keep it all, the material that you've learned. Very simple like that. I'm also going to give you an hour with one of my coaches. They charge $375 an hour. I'm going to give you an hour so you know how to start working this stuff and you can start putting it into practice after the 11 days of working on this. Make sure you do that. So let me go to some of your questions. Click on that link now while I'm doing there. Questions. Here they are. Let me, oh, gee, I've got to scroll back up. Gee, there's a bunch of them you guys have asked me. Okay. Leadership and management. Can people be both great leaders and great managers? Yes, they definitely can be great leaders and great managers. You know, many different businesses where they sit down and say, you know, this one's a good manager and this one's a good leader. If you learn both skills, guess what? You can be both. Make sure you're learning both skills, not just one of the skills. Go to that chat box, click through, gang. All of those benefits are there. Make sure you join us starting tomorrow at this time. 100% risk on me. In fact, 200% risk on me, no risk on you. If you don't love it, I'll give you your money back and you get to keep the stuff. How do I manage Okay, how do I manage someone that's below the line? Should I just fire them? Look, some cases, someone that's below the line, you're never going to get them back above the line because you've left them there too long. However, if you learn all the management techniques, apply them with me over the next 10 days, I think it's day 6 or 7, we'll go through all of the management techniques, apply them, get the results, and then you'll know if you're going to keep the person or not, okay? Use that system. It's very simple to comfort zones. Okay. So one of the questions here is about basically how do you push people outside of their comfort zone? Well, the reality is if you educate them more, you don't need to push them outside of their comfort zone because they are more educated, therefore they are more comfortable with where they're going. Discussing how to hire white-collar and C-level executives. Yeah, okay, there's very little difference in my book between hiring the lowest grade employee and the highest grade employee. You've got to put the time, energy, and effort in appropriate to the pay scale. If the pay scale is massive, you've got to put in more time, energy, and effort. If the pay scale is lower, you've got to put in less time, energy, and effort. But remember, less energy in upfront, more management, more leadership throughout the whole process. That's what's going to happen. That's basically the way it's going to be. Brad, the Profit Masters, how many? Yeah, you can have, all of your employees can log in at any time and use the Profit Masters and learn from it. So that's simple. We record everything, so it's all going to go in there. Even today's webinar, this will be recorded and go in there live for you. When I do seminars around the world and we record them, they go in there live. Please, any employee you want on there can go on there at any point in time. Happy to have it. $1,000 for your training of all your staff for the rest of time. Cheapest investment I think you'll ever make. So just to recap, lots of learnings today. How do you get it into place? You join us. You come join us at Action Coach. You join us at Profit Masters, BradSugarsProfitMasters.com. Jump on there, /webinar offer for you to get the 990. It's your deal. It's there. I know Eve's got some extra free bonuses for you. Eve, your turn. Hit them up. Let them know what the free bonuses are. Thanks, everyone. Hope you've had a great session. You got some great notes, and look forward to you joining us on the webinar starting this time tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now.
This is Eve Fabros, and I do want to thank you for attending Brad Sugar's Leadership and Team Building webinar today. We hope you learned some brand new strategies that Brad that you can start using to build a great business and team. But remember, take advantage of Brad's special webinar offer using the link that I have posted in your chat window. If you can't get to that link, it is BradSugarsProfitMasters.com/webinar offer. And just know that when you do purchase into Brad Sugar's Profit Masters program, your purchase is 100% guaranteed. We know that you will find the webinar series to be an invaluable investment to you and your business. And if you're not completely satisfied, just request a refund within 48 hours of the last 11th webinar in the series. Again, this webinar series with Brad does start tomorrow. So you can watch and learn from that for the next 11 days. If you're not satisfied, just send me an email and I will happily refund that money for you. And I want to thank everyone again for attending today's webinar. Make it a great day.